Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you fresh from Mikel Arteta's first press conference of the new season. Obviously Arsenal in action on Saturday in the Community Shield against Liverpool at Wembley. Going to be an odd game, that one, but we'll get to that later. And literally just got off the Zoom call to Mikel Arteta ahead of that game. So much covered, as you'd imagine. There were so many things to put to Mikel Arteta. He was there for a good half an hour. Talking about various topics. Obviously, plenty of transfer talk and Guendouzi, things like that, Aubameyang's contract. So I thought I'd pop on here now and just update you on what Mikel Arteta had to say, go through some of the key topics, and sort of give you my view on what I kind of thought he was saying on a lot of it. So I'm not going to waste any more time because there's plenty to go through, so I'm going to bang straight into it. And we'll start with Gabriel, the thing that everyone's talking about. When is Gabriel going to sign? When is the confirmation going to come? Obviously been in London since Monday, had his medical in London on Monday, but still no confirmation that Gabriel is an Arsenal player. That was obviously put to Mikel Arteta, who still said the deal is not finalised. He said, regarding Gabriel, we can't announce anything yet. The deal is not finalised. You all know that he's a player that we followed for a long time and hopefully we can get it done. He's a player we followed. We're determined that he has the right profile for us to improve our squad, and if we are able to finalise it, we will be delighted. Now, I think some people will be a little bit worried about that, thinking, oh my God, why haven't we got it finalised? But as far as I'm aware, there's nothing to worry about. That announcement will come. Gabriel will soon be confirmed as an Arsenal player. Like I said, the medical was on Monday. There's been nothing to suggest there's been anything wrong. He's been quarantining since Monday, since he arrived, and he's put the finishing touches on his move. There's a few legal things that Arsenal need to sort out, not so much with the player, but with lawyers and things like that to get it all done. But as far as I'm aware, Gabriel is going to be an Arsenal player. And the fact that Mikel Arteta spoke so openly about him as well, I think suggests for well that he knows that soon that confirmation is going to arrive that Gabriel has joined Arsenal. He doesn't normally talk about players openly or bat away those questions, but he was quite happy to really discuss Gabriel and say he's a player that they thought would improve the squad, and they've been following him for a long time. So I think although some people will be a little bit worried, and I've seen Twitter obviously gone into a bit of a meltdown in it because everyone's desperately waiting for the news, but I wouldn't worry yourself too much. Gabriel will be joining Arsenal following on from Willian. It's just a matter of time until that decision comes. And another one that Mikel Arteta talks about, again, which everyone's been waiting, I would say patiently, but it's not really been patient. It's been impatiently, really, is for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. When will he sign his new contract? Deal's been agreed verbally, still no confirmation. When's it going to happen? That was the exact question put to Mikel Arteta. Again, he says, I'm being positive. We have some really good talks with him and his agent, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to find an agreement soon. That's my feeling. When asked if it would be a big boost for the club, he said absolutely. And for him, Aubameyang as well, I think he should be very happy if he's able to stay at the club for a long time. I think people will be delighted with that news. Again, I wouldn't worry yourselves too much that the confirmation hasn't come, and Mikel Arteta there has said that we can find an agreement soon. Everything that we're hearing suggests that agreement has already been found, and it's just a case of crossing the I's, dotting the T's, and Aubameyang will be soon confirmed as staying on for another 3 years at Arsenal, a deal that will take him up to around 250 grand per week behind only Mesut Ozil in the pay scale there for Arsenal. So again, I wouldn't worry yourselves, and I think you've got to read into what Mikel Arteta is saying again there. He's saying he's positive. He said that it's kind of similar to what he said about Bukayo Saka before the Bukayo Saka contract was announced. If he was really, really worried about it, he wouldn't talk so openly about it, and he wouldn't give such positive vibes. So I think you've got to kind of look a little bit into what Arteta's saying there, both about Gabriel and Aubameyang, and read into what exactly he's got to say. So those were the two big topics, but then he talked about an awful lot. There's obviously a lot going on with Arsenal. Dani Ceballos, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, is he going to go? Lionel Messi as well, the big one. What's going to happen with Lionel Messi? What's Mikel Arteta got to say about that? Mohamed El-Neni, Matteo Guendouzi, there was plenty. So we'll quickly run through a lot of things. Dani Ceballos, he admitted, Mikel Arteta, that Arsenal have been in talks with Dani Ceballos, and he said that Ceballos said to him at the end of last season after the FA Cup final that his preference was to come back to Arsenal. He said he was pretty clear with me that his intention was to remain with us, but obviously Real Madrid is involved, and I don't know what they want to do yet with the player. I think you're going to have to wait for the Dani Ceballos thing a little bit more, and that's kind of what Arteta is saying there. Real Madrid, like many clubs, in a little bit of financial situation when it comes to, because of COVID, how much money they're going to be able to spend on players, what are they going to do with their squad, so they're not going to rush into any decisions. Ceballos is a very good player. He's obviously a Real Madrid player, and although Zinedine Zidane hasn't really used him before, doesn't really rate him, he could certainly come into his plans this season if needed. So I think Real Madrid are going to take their time before deciding on what to do with Ceballos. They're probably going to see if they can get some decent offers in from him as well, because Arsenal at the moment are looking for a loan for Ceballos, not for a permanent transfer. That's what they want. Real would prefer to sell so they can bring in some money that they could then spend elsewhere. So I think with Ceballos, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with that one, and that's kind of what Mikel Arteta is saying there. But he also says, he's a player that we are interested in because we saw in the last few months last season what he's capable of bringing to us, and we all saw that. He was fantastic after the restart, probably along with Aubameyang, Arsenal's best player. So no surprise that Arsenal want him back, and it's no surprise that Ceballos wants to come back, because he certainly found a good second home here in North London. On Ainsley Maitland-Niles, we've all seen it. Wolves have had bids turned down for Maitland-Niles, which in my view is good, because the offers that Wolves have been putting in for Maitland-Niles not high enough for me. I think they've got to be going up to around the 25 million mark for Arsenal to be interested in that. And Arteta was asked, about Maitland-Niles, what's the deal there? And he says, look, Ainsley's a player. I said at the end of last season I really liked. The best way to show that was I played him in the most important games of the season. He responded well. He's obviously talking about the FA Cup semi-final and FA Cup final, where Maitland-Niles was fantastic in the left wing-back role against Man City and Chelsea. He obviously played there against MK Dons again in midweek in the first pre-season behind closed doors game of the summer. So Maitland-Niles is still very much an Arsenal player. He was then asked, will you be open to offers for him if the player really is open to a move? And he said, I'm always open to listen to what players' feeling are at every stage of their career. If something doesn't work, we'll have to assess it with the player and the club and then make the right decision. So again, he's pretty open there. The fact is, Arsenal need to bring in some money. If they want to get more players in, they need to free up spaces on the squad. They need to bring in transfer fees. They need to lower the wage bill. So everyone, I've been saying it for a long time, pretty much everyone is available, I think, for Arsenal. If a decent bid comes in for pretty much every player, one or two exceptions, then Arsenal will be open to that. And that's kind of what Arteta is saying there. But it has to be at the right price. And so far, it's not been at the right price. What Wolves have been offering is not at the right price. And there are other clubs as well sniffing around Maitland-Niles' interest from Germany. So I'm certainly not going to sit here now saying Ainsley Maitland-Niles won't go, but I think that you'll have to get fees well above the 15 million which Wolves have first come in for. That is not enough to sign Ainsley Maitland-Niles for me, and it's obviously not for Arsenal considering they rejected the move. Now, Lionel Messi, what's going on with Lionel Messi? Don't get excited, he's not going to come to Arsenal. I think you probably already know that. But interesting to hear what Mikel Arteta had to say about Lionel Messi today. Well, I mean, what a player he is, and what a story this all is. And Arteta on Messi says he's been linked everywhere. He's more clubs after him than any other player in history. I've been a Barcelona fan since I was young, and it's sad to see him leave the football club. Let's see what happens if he comes to England. We're all going to enjoy it. I think that's a message that we can all agree with. If Lionel Messi came to the Premier League, it would be fantastic. Obviously, he's not going to come to Arsenal. But if he does come anywhere, if he does come to City, which is looking like the most likely option, if he was to move to England, then it'd be fantastic to see him just playing football week in, week out in the Premier League. And Mikel Arteta was asked, does it matter if he comes to a rival club then, not Arsenal? And he said it doesn't matter, it's good for football. You want the best players in the league, and for me that's the best thing, to have the most competitive in the world. The Premier League has always had that. The times with Ronaldo, I played against him and it was great because it raises the level of every individual and every team as well. So Mikel Arteta clearly would very much welcome seeing Lionel Messi in the Premier League. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. I think the Messi story is one that's going to run it throughout the summer. Could well be hearing from Lionel Messi very, very soon, which will be interesting to see what he has to say. I'll just run through the last couple of things. Mohamed El Neni, who was asked about, El Neni obviously played against MK Dons, scored a very good goal as well. Was he in his plans? From his response, I don't think he really is in his plans. I think he's using him at the moment because he has to, because so many players are unavailable. But he says we don't know. The 6th of October, which is when the transfer window ends, is still too far away. It's pretty unpredictable to know what's going to happen. So he's very much not saying there that El Neni's going to stay. He did go on to talk about his qualities, and he said he played with El Neni, he appreciates what he brings, but I think judging what I read from what Mikel Arteta had to say about any today, is he's certainly a player that Arsenal would look to move on. Whether it have to be another loan may well be. At least that gets his wages off the wage bill. And finally, Matteo Guendouzi, big story with Guendouzi, isn't it? So is he going to come back into the fold? Is he going to be sold? Arsenal have been desperately trying to move him across Europe this summer. Haven't had any takers for him yet. Certainly not in terms of swap deals that Arsenal have been looking at. And Mikel Arteta was asked, does Guendouzi have a future, considering what happened at the end of last season? And Arteta said, I've been very clear that everybody starts from zero all the time in football. What you did 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago doesn't really matter. It's what you are able to contribute to the team now. So perhaps that's an olive branch for Guendouzi there from Mikel Arteta, saying it doesn't matter what you did, it's what you contribute now. But as far as I'm aware, Arsenal are still very open to letting Matteo Guendouzi go. I would be surprised if he's certainly in Arteta's plans early on. If they find it absolutely impossible to move him on, then maybe they have to find a way of reintegrating him into the squad and getting him back involved. But from my point of view, Matteo Guendouzi is still a player that Arsenal would, if they can, like to get out of the club, and we'll have to wait and see whether that happens. So that's about it from my roundup from Mikel Arteta's press conference. Thank you very much for watching. We've got the game on Saturday, remember, building up to that now. Please do head over to goal.com, find out my story and read the story I've written on what Arteta had to say on Gabriel and Aubameyang. You'll also find it, I'll drop it in the section below, in the description below, if you want to have a click on that and take yourself over and read fully what Mikel Arteta had to say on those two players. There's plenty more on there as well. And also, if you're just interested in Lionel Messi, there's plenty on that at the moment, because let's face it, that is the big football story at the moment. As I said, Arsenal versus Liverpool coming up at Wembley on Saturday. Please do follow me on my social media channels on Twitter at Charles_Watson. I'll have bringing all the preview ahead of that game on Saturday, and then all the coverage as well from Wembley. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Thank you for all the support once again on this channel. Please do subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll try and keep you bang up to date with everything updated in terms of Arsenal Football Club. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, everyone. Speak to you soon.